We have here a very early batch of Aberlour Abuna. So this is a single malt Scotch whisky made in the town of Aberlour, or Charleston on Aberlour, up in Speyside. Abuna is a series they've had for a long time now, of cask strength, big sherry, bomb, big hitter whiskey.
Yeah, no age statement.
No age statement.
Yeah.
I think the liquid inside is quoted to be between 5 and 25 years, which is a huge spectrum. It gives them a lot of wiggle room. This one is batch 6, which I think was the first numbered batch they did. They had a few beforehand, which, you know, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this was the first numbered one. And since then, it's been 50 plus batches. The older batches were typically, I would guess, older, with stronger sherry influence. You can see the colour of this one is a beautiful, rich, dark mahogany colour, so it should be a huge dried fruit, chocolatey, all those sherry flavours in there. The story of the Abuna series is, Abuna translates as origin in Gaelic, so the style of the bottle is very reminiscent of very kind of ancient bottlings of Aberlour. So it's got a great story to it, it's great liquid, and one that should be absolutely delicious. So
Great.
Let's open it up.
Excellent.
So this Aberlour, even on the colour, looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
strong
beautiful
sherry
colour.
influence, beautiful colour to it. Obviously this is cask strength, it's 59.9%, so I'm expecting a strong alcoholic prickle on the nose and the palate, but let's give it a little nose and see what you think. Yeah, for me that's kind of typical sherry bomb, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for sherry casks, obviously these are, you know, oak vessels that previously contained sherry. So all those spicy flavours are soaked into the wood and then passed on to the whiskey as well. So all the colour obviously comes from the cask as well. So that's where we get this lovely rich ruby colour from, and so much of the whiskey's character.
And a big hit of ginger spice as well. Not the Spice Girl, obviously.
Ginger, I know.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is there a trick to nosing whiskey of this strength? Is it just
But personally, I would usually water it down, but I think it's repetition, getting yourself used to it.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's always that first nose is a bit of a kick in the face, but you obviously your senses adapt and get used to it. But yeah, it smells lovely. So we'll have a little taste. Cheers, Jack.
Sponge.
Yeah, warming, I would say, is the first word for me.
A lot of spice.
A lot of spice. In terms of not an everyday whiskey, I would say. I think you need to be in the mood for something big. It's a bit of a beast, isn't it, this one?
It really is.
I think these early batches of Abuna, they didn't hold back in the sherry influence. Would you say it tastes older? Kind of maybe 15, 20 years potentially in the mix?
Yeah, I think it depends on the activity of the wood though.
Yep.
At the end of the day, if it's a small batch and you've got some active casks, it needn't be particularly old. But there's not any hint of youthful spirit in there.
Absolutely. No, it's beautifully rounded. I think the sherry influence, obviously it tastes strong, like you can feel it on the way down, but it's not, I don't know, I'm not rushing to add water to it. What do you think?
I would add water, just so I've got more to drink.
Obviously a whiskey of this strength, 59.9%, it's pretty hot, it's pretty full on. Water in general, what do you say, opens it up, brings out extra flavours?
Yeah, I think it sort of lengthens it out so you're not getting the hit of everything all at once. You might get, different flavours at different times, whereas when it's cask strength you get them all in one big hit, so it's easier to distinguish them.
Yeah, I think from my experience adding water, I would say changes the complexion of the whiskey. And sometimes that's for the better, sometimes it's for the worse. So even whiskies that are only 43, 46%, often it is worth adding a few drops just to experiment with it.
Yeah.
But for something like this, it's kind of sensible sometimes. So let's give it a try with water and see what we think. Is it different on the nose? Would you say it's
definitely less of a hit?
Yeah.
A little bit more woody.
I'm getting less of those obvious sherry notes,
Yeah,
so maybe
yeah.
more like kind of caramel, toffee, this kind of burnt sugar I think you mentioned before. It's a different beast with water for sure. I think when I've had a Buna before, I quite like that it's a bit crazy and a bit insane, and it's of that high strength, and it is that hit in the face straight away that you mentioned. With water, as you imagine, it is tamed down a little bit. There are more subtle flavours coming through. Do you prefer it with water or just?
Personally, I do prefer it with water. Yeah. I think it gives me 1.5 bottles worth of whiskey in a bottle.
Yeah.
But I like that it's slightly more subtle, and I think it has more mouthfeel as well. A little bit creamier in feel compared to the high strength.
Absolutely, I think it's more maybe kind of nuanced with water. You're able to dissect the flavour profile and pick out maybe more subtle flavours that were missed initially when you just have that huge alcoholic hit and that huge sherry hit to deal with. So it's toned down a little bit, still delicious. As I say, I quite liked it at the insane strength of 60%, but I think it's nice with whiskies like this because it gives you the flexibility to have, it's like 2 whiskies in one. If you want this tamed version or if you want the wild animal, it's up to you what you choose. But no, with water, still delicious. Whiskey's subjective. I prefer it without, you prefer it with, and that's totally fine. But no, a lovely dram, really, really well rounded and backed with flavour.